Welcome back to another edition of Research Fantasy presents our NASCAR DFS breakdown for the Overton 400 at Pocono Speedway. Feels like just yesterday we were here watching Ryan Blaney get his first Cup victory. We are back a week removed from, sad as it is to say, I feel like it's Sonoma. There's a cat that just walked in front of the camera. That's always fun. But yeah, so I think it was Sonoma last week. I don't know why I'm so barren for thought at this point. I can't seem to comprehend what happened just a week ago. This is an interesting week, though, to be sure, because we had practice today, whereas we typically see a Friday-Saturday breakdown of some combination of practice and qualifying. Today we got practice and won't have qualifying until tomorrow morning, which definitely does feel extremely weird. It wasn't Sonoma, it was Indianapolis was the word I was looking for. Indianapolis. A similar track, flat track, so it's going to be the same type of mentality here. I do expect this to be another track that is difficult to pass on. Now, what do we mean by that? Well, obviously, if someone like Jimmy Johnson or Kyle Busch, for example, starts in the back, we're not saying that it's going to be hard for them to get in the front, because we already know that their car is better than half the field as a guarantee. Really, within 5 laps at a track like this, they could be 20 to 25 spots ahead of their starting position. It's just that these types of tracks are wide enough to allow for more aggressive tendencies by drivers. This is the tricky triangle, so it's definitely a little different than what we see in normal races, especially on the other 2.5 mile tracks. So where do we go for our structure? Well, it's really tough to say prior to having qualifying because we don't know who's going to set up where. We do know that for the most part, you don't want to put too many eggs in a basket for laps led. Fastest laps could be a little bit unpredictable. Typically what I do for fastest laps is I just take the average fastest laps per race run on a year and apply that to drivers. Like, regardless of whether he starts first or 40th, Martin Truex Jr. is probably going to hold some fastest laps. I can't foresee a situation where that isn't going to take place. Now, do we go with place differential? Because that could be important. And I think that's definitely something you want to look at. These tracks aren't as catastrophic as Daytona or Talladega. But as we saw last week in Indianapolis, it could certainly get that way depending on how defensive drivers are being. So place differential can play a big role. Michael McDowell was running in 4th place prior to an accident that sent him to pit row right near the end of the race at the final restart, actually. So it doesn't hurt to look at the guys who will be running in the back, guys like Cole Witt, Gray Gaulding. In fact, just looking at it, Witt has an average finish of 27.8. LaJoie, a 28th. Landon Castle, 28.8. Gray Gaulding, 29. Sorensen, 32. So the moral of the story is a lot of these poor drivers, just due to the fact that there will be accidents, if they manage to stay out of them, they can produce 10 to 15 place differential points, which can be very important at these tracks. With that said, I do think, after qualifying, we could see if there's any drivers that are some pretty obvious place differential plays. It's really tough to do this video, but I don't want to wait until 12 noon tomorrow to do it because I have to make lineups. And, I know people watch this because I see the numbers, and I don't want people to wait till the last minute. So what I would advise doing is just stick with, your horses for the course, so to speak. So 2 guys that are young and really could have good turnouts here. First and foremost, Ryan Blaney, a 10th and 11th and a 1st. Clearly likes the construct of the Pocono setup. Had some bad luck last week. There's no guarantee. Accidents, toughest thing to predict in NASCAR akin to injuries in a daily fantasy cycle for basketball, baseball, football, whatever it might be. You don't want to get into the business of making picks based off of who you think is going to wreck or get injured. But Blaney sets up extremely well here. Another guy who did well here and actually has some pretty solid showing at this track type is Erik Jones. One of the reasons I like Erik Jones is that he's fighting for his life. He needs a win. That's really what it comes down to. In order to stay in the playoffs, he's going to need to get the victory. So I think he's going to go out and race aggressive. Showed some speed in the first practice. It definitely dropped off to almost a, bottom 20 car. But I think that he's someone that is worth taking a look at this week. I haven't seen practices yet, which I'm sorry if I missed something. If someone got into an accident, I'm going to feel like a jerk if that was the case and someone's going to a backup car. But I'm trying to get this out kind of prior to taking too much of a look here. No, it says no accidents occurred, so I'm going to say that's a plus. So we'll see what happens with anyway. So yeah, look at Erik Jones. Definitely someone you might want to take a stab with. Next up, I would take a look at, Kyle Larson's just a monster. Like, no type of track really stands in his way. 11th, 8th, 12th, 11th, 6th, 7th here. That's beautiful results. Amongst the best that there is. So I think he's a key guy to look at. And outside of him, I would also take a look at Kevin Harvick. 2-2, 42, 9-4-2. Definitely has a solid car. Hasn't been one of the top performing cars, but we know he's one of the top drivers in the Cup. The 42 might throw people off, but look, like, accidents happen. You cannot hold that against a driver at a track, at any track really. Many times it's beyond their control. Could be engine failure. 42 pretty much indicates he was the last guy that, I take it back, Casey Kane, 43rd, Stenhouse, Bain. Those are all guys could have gotten an accident in 15. I'm not sure, but I would definitely say he's worth looking into. Sorry these picks this week were far less certain than they have been in weeks past. It's just really tough given the construct of how this is coming together with not having qualifying until early Sunday morning. It makes it very, very hard on us to try to determine what routes we want to go. But Blaney, Jones, Larson, Harvick, you got mid-cost guys to high-cost guys. That's really where I'm looking at things this week. Wouldn't hesitate, just to list a few more just because I don't want to just give top price plays. Wouldn't hesitate to look at a guy like Ty Dillon. This is a track he's run well at. Austin Dillon has pretty good runs here. And so, yeah, those are some guys in the lower range you could take a look at. And like I said, guys like Cole Witt, Corey LaJoie, they have 15 place differential upside here, so it might be worth looking their direction as well. All right, thanks for watching. Make sure to check back. I'll try to update this, maybe not with the video, but in the description tomorrow after qualifying takes place. Sorry this was everywhere. This was a really, really tough week to come in and do this just because of the fact that we don't have all the information we need to make good picks. I would much prefer seeing where the starting grid fell at so we knew where the good plays were at. But check back next week. Good luck this week. Subscribe to our channel below. Thanks for watching. And have some fun, win some money.